Did you know there's a new Pixar movie out right now? Probably not. You would think a new Pixar movie would be a big deal, but Elio kind of slipped under the radar. The marketing was weirdly quiet. Almost like Pixar didn't want you to know this movie exists. No hype, barely even a trailer push. Why is that? Elio was originally set to come out in 2024, but it got delayed. And according to reports, it went through several rewrites. And yeah, you can feel that when you watch it. The final movie has a very different vibe to the original teaser. Without giving away any spoilers, I can say that Elio had a lot of potential, but unfortunately missed the mark in several key areas. The story failed to build a compelling narrative, leaving many scenes and emotional moments underdeveloped. Visually, the movie was stunning. The animation and overall aesthetics were definitely a highlight. However, the end result felt more like an extended episode of a TV show rather than a full feature film. Spoilers ahead if you haven't watched the movie yet. Elio tells the story of a young boy who loses his parents. He becomes fascinated with aliens and dreams of being abducted by them. Suddenly, Elio finds himself appointed as the Earth's ambassador to the Alien Council. The story follows a very familiar formula designed to pull on your heartstrings. On paper, it sounds very promising. However, this very formulaic approach ends up working against the movie. Instead of feeling fresh and engaging, the story feels very predictable and overly familiar, which prevents it from truly connecting emotionally. Elio struggles to rise above cliches and fails to fully realize its potential in storytelling and character development. Let's talk about the main character, Elio. I would say he's a very likable protagonist. His journey centers around a universal desire to find a place where he truly belongs. This very longing drives many of his actions, including moments where he's willing to lie to get it, fake it till you make it. This adds a layer of complexity to his character. Elio's family situation also plays a significant role in the story. After losing his parents, he is adopted by his aunt. Her role in the narrative touches on a message similar to Lilo and Stitch, taking in a family member and making sacrifices in her own life for his sake. However, despite this rich dynamic, the aunt's character feels very underdeveloped. We don't get much insight in her personal struggles. We know she gave up on many opportunities to become an astronaut. Yet, this aspect of the character is barely explored. The only real acknowledgement comes in a single scene near the end, when she pilots the alien ship. Her background as an astronaut feels less like a meaningful part of the story and more like a convenient setup for the final moment. One aspect of Elio that stood out and captured the classic Pixar magic was the film's opening. The beginning is very emotional, showing Elio's quiet sadness and silence as he copes with the loss of his parents. These scenes are authentic, portraying grief in a simple yet powerful way. When he enters the planetarium and slowly finds a new sense of purpose, he discovers his fascination with the universe and aliens. It's beautifully done. This emotional moment really set the tone of the movie and raised my expectation. Unfortunately, as the story progressed, the emotional impact began to fade. The feeling became less and less real and more superficial. That brings me to the next part. The villain in Elio feels like a character who was never fully developed as a true antagonist. And it really shows. Originally, it seems the script didn't even intend for him to be the classic villain, which leads to a major disconnect. Instead of showing his villainy through actions, the film mostly tells us how tough he is. He doesn't really engage in any violence or sabotage. Instead, the conflict largely consists of talking and negotiations, which has potential but falls flat. Because of this, the big showdown in the finale ends up being anticlimactic. In classic fashion, the hero stands up to the villain, but not in Elio. When Elio arrives to return Gordon, the villain suddenly drops his act and immediately embraces Gordon. The moment is somewhat emotional, but it lacks impact, because the villain was never convincingly portrayed as a villain in the first place. Gordon the Alien Slug. He is arguably the best character in Elio. He has a quirky personality and a great comedic timing, the kind of side character that sticks with you long after the movie ends. Every scene he is in instantly becomes more funny. That said, his relationship with Elio felt rushed. When the movie pivots to the heartfelt moment between them, it falls flat because there wasn't enough meaningful build-up. The film tries to present a deep emotional bond between the two of them, but it doesn't feel fully earned. One of the most poorly handled parts of the Elio movie was the sudden friendship between Elio and Bryce. Who is Bryce, you ask? We meet Bryce at the start of the movie. He has a similar niche hobby like Elio. He is into radios. So from the start they had potential to get along. But because Elio was a bratty child, he and Bryce had a fallout. Only in the end they reconnect and become friends. On the surface this might feel like a heartwarming moment. But when you take a closer look at what actually happened early in the movie, the situation becomes troubling. Bryce, along with a group of other kids, literally beat up Elio. I know that Elio was technically a clone, but they didn't know that. This wasn't some mild teasing or misunderstanding. It was a clear act of physical violence. Yet near the end of the movie, Elio suddenly reached out to Bryce, and the two of them seemingly become friends. It sends a confusing message to the audience that abusive behavior can be brushed aside without consequences. It undermines the seriousness of bullying. The one word I would describe this movie would be okay. It's not a disaster, but it's far from a masterpiece I hoped for. As an original Pixar movie, I had high hopes. The concept was fun and bold. The animation was beautifully done. The opening hinted at something heartfelt and memorable, but sadly the film didn't deliver on its potential. It plays everything too safe, leaning too heavily on the formula. What starts as a promising exploration of grief, identity and belonging fails to deliver every aspect of it. In the end, Elio is visually charming and occasionally funny, but it never rises to the level of something truly special. For a studio that has delivered so many unforgettable stories, this one is very forgettable. I would give it a 4 out of 10. Not because it's bad, but because it's incredibly mediocre. So what do you think of Elio? Did it live up to your expectations or not? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video.